This meeting is now being recorded.
All right. So thanks everybody for your patience, and thank you for joining the webinar today. My name is Seema Patel. I am a Senior Fuels Associate here at the Global Alliance for Clean Cookstoves. And I'm just going to get things started and give you a brief overview before I pass things off to our suite of presenters. In today's webinar, what we're going to be doing is presenting, let me just forward the slide, presenting an overview of the work some of our Spark Fund grantees who are specifically focused on fuels, and in particular focused on production and distribution models for getting cleaner fuels to consumers, as well as the results of some of the work that they've been doing with our sustainability consultants from ENEA, who've been working with our Spark grantees. So we'll be presenting some of those results as well. So here on screen, you'll see a brief agenda of some of the discussions that we'll be having today. I'll give a brief overview of the Global Alliance and our Spark Fund activities. Our consultants from ENEA, first led off by Fabiola Gervald, will be presenting after that. And then we'll have a series of presentations from the enterprises, starting out with, we'll probably switch the order a little bit and start out with Carlos Figa Talamanca from Sustainable Green Fuel Enterprise, followed by either Winnie Versal from SimGas or Sangha Moses from EcoFuel Africa. And followed by each of their presentations broken out by the enterprises that are working with sustainable charcoal briquettes, and then the work being done by SimGas on biogas. ENEA will also jump in and give some of their feedback on some of the work that they've been doing on sustainable production of fuel with each of those respective enterprises. And at each of those chunks of presentations, I'll allow for a few minutes of Q&A, and again, you can type in any questions that you have in the chat window to the left of your screen, and I will go ahead and facilitate those questions over to the presenters and give them a few minutes to respond. And we can, as time allows, we can have a broader set of questions at the end of the webinar. So we'll go ahead and get started. So the Global Alliance, in 2012, we launched a Spark Fund, and really the goal of the Spark Fund, let me back up one slide. We are a Global Alliance for Clean Cookstoves, and really our goal is, as a public and private partnership, we have a network of over 1,000 different partners. And really that base of partners is what gives us a unique value add, because we have such a wide variety of partners that we can reach out to for different resources, subject matter expertise, investment, and different levels of partnership that really help us achieve some of the problems that you see outlined on this slide. So really reaching those 3 billion people and 5 million households that are relying on solid fuels to power their traditional stoves and use of traditional fuels. Our mission is to save lives, to improve livelihoods, and to empower women, as well as forward environmental friendly technologies and fuels to make sure that we're reducing the amount of emissions that are polluting household as well as ambient and in global environments. And our goal is by 2020 to reach 100 million households that can adopt clean and efficient cookstoves and fuels by 2020. So with that, in 2012, we launched our Spark Fund, and the goal of the Spark Fund was to support enterprises that were really trying to forward scalable approaches that have the potential to transform the sector through their success, and to also leverage further investment for those same enterprises as well as other enterprises. In order to reach more alliance partners for this particular Spark Fund and to generate a pipeline of investable enterprises, we split the Spark Fund into 2 different windows, allowing enterprises in both the venture and growth stages to apply for funding. That window, the Spark Venture window, funded enterprises that passed the proof of concept phase, and we're really ready to ramp up sales of enterprises who are in operation for some time but had yet to reach commercial viability. the other window funded enterprises in the clean cooking sector that had already had robust sales and were really on track to break even in terms of their business and financial model. So the support for each of those windows was meant to target growth and capacity needs of the organization at those specific stages of development. So in this most recent round of Spark, which was our second round, the Alliance was really trying to prioritize support of enterprises that were trying to demonstrate commitment to cleaner and more efficient technologies that would improve health and environmental incomes, really targeting the reduction of emissions of black carbon and short-lived climate pollutants. And so today's suite of speakers you're going to hear from shortly, they were really selected for Spark Fund based on this criteria. And they'll be discussing some of the issues and needs that they had before they were selected to receive the Spark Fund, how the Spark Fund helped them overcome some of their barriers to growth, and how the work of our sustainability consultants from ENEA were able to provide recommendations for how they could scale up their production of sustainable fuels and also ensure sustainable supply of resources to achieve their sustainability goals. And so with that introduction, I'm going to go ahead and hand things off to our first presenter, who is Fabiola Gravard from ENEA Consulting. So Fabiola, you can just let me know when you would like for me to go ahead and forward the slides for you.
Yes. Thank you, Sima, for this introduction. Let me first present briefly who is ENEA and what we do. We are a consulting company based in Paris and founded in 2007 and now 25 people and growing. And our focus is on energy and sustainable development for different types of clients, ranging from energy producers and consumers, industrials in general, to institutionals and investors. And we work with them on a range of actions that can go from strategy to project management to technical expertise. We also have a commitment to energy access, both through paid missions and through a pro bono action. And since 2007, we had about 60 missions in 18 countries by dedicating part of our consultant times to NGOs and social entrepreneurs in the field. We work on energy transition, both on traditional energies through energy efficiency, but also new energies, bioenergies, and, for instance, topics such as carbon capture and storage. In the sustainable development field, we work on the energy access projects, but also we have a program working on environmental and social indicators to evaluate the impacts of projects. So in the frame of this broad activity and commitment, we worked with the Global Alliance for the Spark Fund. And Sima, you can move forward one slide, please. Okay, so in the frame of our work for the Spark Fund, we did two things. First, we supported the Alliance before the selection of the grantees by conducting due diligences on resources and analyzing the supply chain up to the distribution of usage of fuels with a fuel focus, in complement to other due diligences that were conducted on finance and gender issues by other consulting companies. We also worked with each of the grantees to identify their strengths and weaknesses and needs for support in scaling up their business in the field. And we provided recommendations to strengthen the business and scale up, and also proposed action for support by ENEA, which we conducted in a second phase with the grantees that were selected. And this activity was really adapted to the needs of each grantee and covered a wide range of topics from risk analysis on supply and supply chain management to debottlenecking production, proposing technical improvement, evaluating the environmental footprint and impact, to customer satisfaction monitoring, and also project management support. So it's really a broad activity which we fitted and dedicated to the needs of each grantees, and Jacques and David from ENEA will be able to tell you a little bit more what we did on the charbriquettes topic and on the biogas topic support for syngas in a few minutes. I think, Sima, we can move with Carlo.
Great, thanks, Fabiola. Carlo, I'm going to go ahead and go towards your slides. And then if you could just let me know when you'd like me to forward to the next slide.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I'll give a first brief presentation of SGFE for those who don't know it. SGFE was established in 2008 by a project of two NGOs here in Cambodia. One is called JERES, which is also a partner of a member of the Global Alliance for Clean Cookstoves. And the other one is PSE, which is an NGO working more with poor communities and trying to offer schooling programs for children. So these two NGOs had the idea to set up this company, developed all the technology. In 2010, the company the factory started its production. And in 2012, it got to the moment where it spun off and became independent. That's where I came into the picture. SGFE manufactures charbriquettes made from biomass waste, which are an alternative to wood charcoal, which is highly used here in Cambodia as in many other developing countries. What we use for our as raw material for our charbriquettes is mostly char residues, which is charcoal residues deriving from gasifiers. Here in Cambodia, there's a lack of electricity, and therefore many factories produce their own electricity through gasifiers. There's a lot of garment factories which have boilers, which also use wood. And the other raw material which we use is coconut shells. And the coconut shells, we char it by ourselves in the factory. And we have also a system to recycle the heat and use the heat from the charring process to dry the charbriquettes. What SGFE is particular compared to many other projects of charbriquettes in the world is that it has a centralized production process. So all raw material suppliers, or all raw material get to the factory. Everything gets worked inside the factory, and the charbriquettes exit the factory. The charbriquettes, our product is very high. I rate it, or it's also by our customers, it's rated as a very high quality charbriquette, which has a lot of qualities for the end users in terms of longer burning time, and the shape also is quite practical. It increased safety since it makes much less sparks, and it's a healthier product with lower black carbon emissions. At the moment, we have 24 employees. You can see here in the slide, it's 8 women and 16 men, 4 managers, and the rest is practically all workers. We have a production and sales capacity of maximum 50 tons currently, like at the moment, but with the Spark Fund, you will see this will grow. And at the moment, we're using about 40 tons per month of this production capacity. And our sales model is through a distribution network. We have about 120 active customers. We have actually a list of over 200, 250 customers, but not all of them are regular customers. And you can see that our main customers are restaurants, which buy 30% of the product, retailers buy about 29% of the product, and we have distributors. Distributors are those that come and buy the charbriquettes directly at the factory at a discounted price and make a distribution themselves, which is 25%. So for the restaurants and the retailers, we make the distribution ourselves, while for the distributors, as I said, they come to the factory and then they distribute it. Regarding suppliers, we have 4 coconut shell suppliers and 7 char residue suppliers. Also, these are the active ones. Actually, the char residue suppliers are almost 20, but not all of them can supply us regularly with char residues. Very interesting in our business model is that actually we have now people that know that we use char residues, and so we don't supply only directly from factories, but there's people that go into factories, collect the char residues, and then they sell it to us at the factory. So we have created a sort of upstream supply chain, a new economy upstream of our business. Next slide. Next slide, please. Thank you. So this was our situation before, and actually now that we are using the Spark Fund. I think this curve looks very similar to the curve that was just shown before in the Spark Fund description. As you can see, 2010 and 2011, it was just at its start, and there's still a little bit in the pilot phase. In 2012, actually, we received the Pilot Innovation Fund, which helped us. In 2012, it started growing the production and the sales. 2013, with the help of the Pilot Innovation Fund, we could prove the concept of our selling distribution system, which showed the scalability. And then in 2014, now we got the Spark Fund. We expect the 2014 data are just until 30th of September 2014. So by the end of this year, we count of producing and selling more than 400 tons in this year, which is quite, we're quite happy about it. But so there's also challenge, and the challenge which made us apply to the Spark Fund is that we had to scale up the production since it's centralized. It's not so in difference with decentralized production, which are more, I think in some way different. In this case, we really had to increase, build up our factory. Then we had to also develop and scale up our supply chain for raw material, and for this we had a big help from ENEA, which later I will explain. Then also on the sales and distribution system, we had to scale up and restructure. And in general, we had to step up from a micro enterprise to small and medium enterprise. Just to explain, in 2012, the only people managing the factory were about 10 people. There were 8 workers, and just myself and the production manager. In 2013, we hired an accountant, an admin person, and in 2014 now, with the Spark Fund, we already have hired a sales and distribution manager and a supply chain manager. So we have now 4 people: production, supply chain, so production manager, supply chain manager, distribution manager, and an admin accountant. So that really needed a lot of work also to structure the company on a formal side. Next slide, please. So this, I just mentioned it, with the Spark Fund, we are building a factory extension. Here you can see in the slide it's a miniature, but this is the layout of what will be the new factory, and we are literally doubling up. And we had originally 600 square meter, and we are extending. We have built additional 600 square meter, which you can see in the big picture at the bottom. That's a picture taken last week, so soon there will be machines be installed in there. We will purchase like some equipment, and some of the equipment we will build it ourselves to form 2 new production lines. We have a new logistic fleet for distribution of raw material and supply. That means we will have a couple of trucks, and we have even a brand new tuk-tuk, which you can see in the photo on the right, which is part is about logistics. The other part is concerning marketing and communication, since we have also reworked our image, making it more appealing for the local market, and the formal accounting system and training of the accountants in the formal accounting system, and also a CRM, or it's CRM means the customer relationship management system, but it will be something much more simple, but it's the software that will help us to manage the database of all customers. Since I just mentioned before, it's over 200 customers. So this is basically what we're using the Spark Fund for, and by the end of 2015, we want to reach a production capacity of 100 tons per month, which would mean over 1,000 tons per year. So in the previous slide in the graph, means we will double up again on sales and production. Last slide. So this is what we got, the feedback, or like the consulting service support that we got from the Spark Fund. This was something that at the beginning was not even very clear to me, but resulted to be, I have to say, very, very useful, because regarding the production capacity, and in some sense also the sales and distribution, we know our market. This we could do it all internally, but there were issues which we were not prepared, or we were not really thinking about so much, which came up also, for example, the supply chain management, which means the availability of raw material, the management of the supply of raw material, the management, also the accounting of raw material, because since I said we have now a new accounting system, when they're paying taxes, you have also to account how much you had in stock and all this. And I have to say, Jacques has helped us a lot. You can see a screenshot with all these graphs, which is just a very small quick screenshot from a quite elaborate and very useful tool, which we now use for the supply chain management, where we can keep control of the costs and quantities of raw material that we buy. Also, another thing that has been done is since the supply chain manager was just hired this year, we had Jacques had also the possibility to work with him and train him and using this tool, and slowly now we are seeing the value of having such a formal accounting and management of our raw material. And also what ENEA did is a life cycle assessment, which means measuring the footprint and the impact of our activity, which we knew that it was good, but actually seeing then like from formal calculations, it confirmed that our charbriquettes are much more environmental friendly products than the traditional charcoal. By
all guests have been unmuted. All guests have been unmuted. All guests have been muted. All guests have been unmuted. All guests have been muted. All guests have been unmuted. All guests have been muted.
Okay. Yeah, there was a little bit muting and unmuting. So just to finish, as I said, we had this supply chain management that we developed together with ENEA. We had discussed together with them which were our needs, and we had never really had any similar tool. While we, for example, for accounting, we were using Excel and now QuickBooks. Before, for the management of our raw material, we were using nothing, and now we use a quite elaborate Excel file. And the other part of the consulting that we had from the Spark Fund, but I think it's not today that it's not so much in the theme, is the gender value chain assessment with ELSE, which I saw participating to this webinar. And just to give you an idea, also this, we were thinking we were doing well in this, but actually we had no means of measuring our impact.
All guests have been unmuted. All guests have been muted.
Well, yeah, so just to finish, we had, beside the supply chain management consultancy support, also on the gender value chain assessment. And I could finish almost a little bit like the commercial of MasterCard, which says for everything else is MasterCard. We knew our technology pretty well. We knew how to scale up from the production process our markets, but we received from the Spark Fund that support that where we didn't have internally the capacities, or we couldn't even source locally in an easy way. That's it. I'm finished. I think this was the last slide. The slide before was my last slide. I think this is ENEA's slide from Jacques.
Yes. Thank you. I can now present some feedback on ENEA's work for EcoFood Africa and SGFE and share key findings on charbriquette issues. I hope we will get Sangha Moses also. He will probably present his part a little bit later. So ENEA used a simplified life cycle analysis to assess the impact of charbriquettes on climate change compared to traditional charcoal. The main result of this work is that fuel switch from traditional charcoal to charbriquettes is a strong lever to reduce CO2 emissions from cooking. The graph shown in this slide is based on the preliminary LCA performed with EcoFood Africa. It shows that when EcoFood Africa produces and sells 1 ton of charbriquettes, it allows to avoid the emission of more than 15 tons of CO2 equivalent compared to traditional charcoal. The results strongly relies on the nature of the raw material used for charbriquettes and the raw material used for traditional charcoal. Indeed, charbriquettes are produced with renewable biomass, whereas traditional charcoal is produced with non-renewable wood. Another interesting result is that emissions from transport of raw materials, transport of charbriquettes or charcoal, is actually a negligible source of impact compared to the renewability of the raw material used. However, one possible source of impact that weighs in the LCA is the emission of the charring process. Indeed, biomass is charred or carbonized in kilns. If the kiln used is not properly designed, the charring process can emit significant amounts of pollutants and very powerful greenhouse gases such as methane, and this is the current situation of EcoFood Africa. But it can be economically and technically challenging to find or develop an optimized kiln that avoids such emissions.
All guests have been unmuted. All guests have been muted.
So what should do a company that produces charbriquettes with non-optimized kilns and wants to increase its positive impact on climate change? Is it mandatory to use optimized kilns that do not emit greenhouse gases? We have assessed 2 possible strategies. One is to improve the design of the kiln and reduce its emissions while keeping the same production rates. The other is to keep the same design of kilns that emit greenhouse gases, and to scale up production, for instance, double production. The graph shows that the quantity of CO2 equivalent avoided, which means the positive impact on climate change, is actually higher when doubling production, even if the kiln emits greenhouse gases. Finally, the conclusion of this analysis is that in a climate change perspective, the increase of production is the best leverage for positive impacts prior to the use of very clean charring technologies, as long as charbriquettes are produced from renewable biomass. Sima, can you move to the next slide, please? As previously mentioned, the mission of ENEA as part of the Spark Fund support to grantees was oriented on their scale-up. Indeed, scaling up the production of sustainable fuels is a lever for social and environmental impacts, but can be challenging. There are numerous initiatives for charbriquette production around the world, but currently, most of them focus on small-scale production. There is not sufficient experience yet on large-scale production of charbriquettes to use business models and technologies that have been already proven by others. This means that in the field of charbriquettes, scaling up is actually a pioneering work for entrepreneurs. Business
All
models
guests have been unmuted. All guests have been unmuted. All guests have been muted. All guests have been muted.
So scaling up in the field of charbriquettes is a pioneering work for entrepreneurs, and business models and technologies still must be explored and tested. Developing such new solutions represents a risk for entrepreneurs willing to scale up. Therefore, they require sufficient financial visibility and investment capacity in order to take this risk and cover additional expenses of development. As for any business, it is mandatory to be sure that the products will benefit from a sustainable competitiveness. In the case of charbriquettes, it means that the activity must be located in areas where traditional charcoal is expensive and will still be expensive in the future. The price of traditional charcoal strongly depends on the distance of transport between charcoal production sites and the markets. Therefore, charbriquette businesses should at first focus on market areas that are far from charcoal production sites. And another important lever for competitiveness is, I said, Carlo, the control of the cost of raw material. Raw material purchase, collection, and transport represent a significant share of the cost of production of charbriquettes, and the strategy to control these costs is critical to ensure a sustainable competitiveness of the products. Sima, can you go to the next slide, please? Even if solutions to manage a sustainable scale-up are highly depending on the local context of the company, I think that some general good practices can be shared. One fundamental aspect of charbriquette business is the model used for char production. There are two possible models, centralized and decentralized. As shown in the diagram, the centralized model consists in transporting biomass to the charbriquette factory and in charring it in the factory. With the decentralized model, char is produced where biomass is available and then transported to the charbriquette factory. Generally, the centralized model implies that the char production is internalized within the company, whereas in the decentralized model, it is externalized, which means that char is produced by other economical actors. Both models can be interesting, depending on the context. If biomass is far from charbriquette factory, it is likely that a decentralized production will save transportation costs due to a higher energy density of char compared to biomass. But there are numerous other parameters that can be considered to choose the most suited model. The two models can even be used at the same time in order to balance risk on raw material availability or costs. Another general good practice to be considered is how to retain customers, which means how to keep the market. One critical message that can be shared is that the environmental features of charbriquettes is not the focus of customers' expectation. A charbriquette business is not likely to be successful if the product is not competitive with traditional charcoal and if its marketing is based on environmental benefits only. It is mandatory to propose a product that will offer savings and a higher convenience to customers as a cooking solution. Indeed, if properly manufactured, charbriquette can significantly reduce smoke emissions, sparkling, and the need for monitoring compared to traditional charcoal. Another critical aspect to focus on is the steadiness of supply and the steadiness of product quality provided by the company, because it will strongly impact the trust of customers and the reputation of the company. I can finally conclude about these 3 slides with the following points. Charbriquette represents a great opportunity as a cleaner, cheaper, and user-friendly solution as alternative cooking fuel to traditional charcoal. As long as charcoal is expensive in the area of markets. The production of charbriquettes at large scale is still new, and business model and technologies must be developed and tested regarding local contexts. Experience must be shared in the future to spread good practices, and all of this represents a very exciting challenge and collaborative work to be continued. Thank you very much. Sima, I can give you back the speaking.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Jacques. I appreciate it. Let's try and get Sangha to give his presentation. Sangha, can you hear me all right?
Yes, I can hear you. Sorry, I was late to join. A few technical problems.
No problem. I understand that there were some connection issues, but I'm glad you're on now. I don't know, can you see the slides, or do you just want me to pull them up and have you talk through them?
I can see the slides, but I think it will be you to scroll when I finish one slide, right?
Say that again?
It will be you to help me go to the next slide once I'm finished with one slide, right?
Absolutely, yeah. You just tell me when you'd like me to forward it.
Okay, so do you want me to start now?
Sure, yeah, go ahead.
Yes, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sangha Moses from EFA Africa. Today I'm going to take you through what our company is all about and the work that we did with support from ENEA, how that helped our business. I'll begin with the brief history of our company. Our company is called EFA Africa. It started in June 2010 with just $500 in personal savings. Now EFA is already profitable and sustainable. What we do is we manufacture high quality charbriquettes made out of biomass waste, things like sugarcane waste, corn husks, any kind of biomass that we can carbonize to turn into charbriquettes is used here. Uganda is predominantly agriculture. There's a lot of waste that was normally being burned and no one was using for anything. So that is the waste that we collect and turn into a charbriquette. Our briquettes burn cleaner, burn longer, and are 65% cheaper than charcoal from wood. And they can be used in any cookstove. So that makes adoption easy because people don't have to invest in a new stove before they start using that fuel. They can start with whatever stove they have. And studies show that people who actually use our fuel are more likely to buy a new stove in about 6 months because of the energy savings that they accrue from using our fuel briquettes. We currently have 36 full-time employees. 12 of these are women and 24 are men. We currently sell about 260 tons a month, but our biggest challenge now is that demand exceeds our supply by far. We work with a network of 2,500 farmers who use our kilns. These farmers use our kilns to carbonize locally sourced farm waste, and they sell us a powder called char, which we use to make fuel briquettes. And these farmers are able to increase their incomes by about 23%. We work with a network of 460 women micro retailers, each able to increase their incomes by about 50%. And we currently reach slightly over 10,000 households on a daily basis. And these households save money and are able to increase their disposable incomes by about 30%. So yes, we can go to the next slide. Before we got the SPAR grant, we had issues. One of these issues was we needed to review the efficiency of our operations, and this includes the production of chaff, the collection of chaff from farmers, briquette making, drying, packaging, and distribution. We also needed support with the review of our kilns. Kilns is a piece of technology that we use to carbonize farm waste. And then we also had issues with our briquetting machines. And we needed some general support with our scale-up plan. And this is what we worked on with ENEA. Jack came to Uganda, and we spent a lot of valuable time together, him trying to help us to find solutions to these challenges. So if you could go to the next slide, please. With help from ENEA, Jack visited some of our farmers and looked at how the farmers were working. And he used that information to advise us on how to make the farmer network more efficient. One of the ideas was to have an incentive scheme. We have three types of farmers. There are the large-scale farmers who make the vast majority of the char that we use. We have like medium-scale farmers who are there in between, and then small-scale farmers who really make who produce below their capacity. And these are very poor people who are very satisfied with very little. Once they get a few shillings to buy food and sugar, their needs are made, so they don't want to produce more than that. So Jack gave us an idea of incentivizing these farmers and trying to help them see what could happen if they increase their char production. And we are trying that now. And the other idea was to cluster these farmers according to, first of all, their geographical location, but also their needs, so that they can learn from each other. And we've been trying, we are in the process of clustering our farmers now and incentivizing farmers that we think have the potential to produce more, but are currently producing below average. And I'm happy to report that it is already beginning to show some good signs. Change takes time, so not all of them have really started producing more than what they used to produce. But at least we can see people begin to think that, oh, if I work hard, probably I can also get a solar system so that I'll stop using kerosene, or I can buy better clothes so what we have been doing as one of the reasons of incentivizing them is inviting them to visit the large-scale farmers. And then we've also been making meetings where we invite a large-scale farmer to come and share how his life has changed just because he produces more char. And then some of these farmers go and visit actually and sit down with these farmers and see, because maybe the problem has been they have never left their village, and all the village members are the same level, so they can't imagine how much life could be better. And that has been a problem, like a mindset of getting satisfied with very little. And we are now trying to change that using the ideas that we got from ENEA. And we are positive that this might create some changes here. Also, ENEA reviewed our briquetting technology and advised us on how to make more. We were trying to develop a large-scale briquetting machine. The first prototype that we had the two technical issues. But when ENEA looked at all our briquetting machines, they advised us to produce more motorized medium-scale briquetting machines, which are more dependable. And currently, we plan to make 8 of them. We have 4 production centers. Most of our production is decentralized. So we are not a centralized, we don't have one big centralized facility, but we have 4 small-scale decentralized facilities. So our plan now, instead of wasting more time on perfecting the big-scale briquetting machine, we are concentrating on making more of the medium-scale briquetting machines that have already proven to be more consistent, more dependable, as of course we continue to find engineering support to perfect our large-scale briquetting machines. And since Jack left, we made 2 more medium-scale briquetting machines, and those have improved our production capacity. And the plan is to make a few more briquetting machines in the next few months. And ENEA also reviewed our drying method. We use the sand to dry, still very basic, but we are lucky that we are right at the equator, so we have a lot of sunshine here. But we had very inefficient drying stands. We have some stands here where we dry our briquettes, but we always needed more space to dry our briquettes because we were using the wrong method of drying. And now we have just thought of a new way of say, double storage drying made, and we've already started making those. In fact, we tried them in one of our production facilities closer to Kampala, and now we are replicating them to all our production centers because the team here thinks that it has increased our capacity. Previously, our team would fill up all the drying stands and they will have nowhere to dry anymore. And now, because you have twice as much drying stands using the same space, it has enabled us to increase our production capacity in the room. ENEA also helped us to review our scale-up plan, and together we came up with some new amazing ideas of how to take our solution to scale. One of them was I've already talked about them, like clustering of our farmers, increasing the production capacity of the small-scale farmers. In fact, ENEA thought that we did not need to add more farmers because the 2,500 that we currently have are producing below their capacity. And in Jack's opinion, it would be better to concentrate on increasing the efficiency of the current farmers to ensure that they can produce to their capacity before we even think of creating more farmers. And we found that feasible and true because being Ugandan ourselves, we had very little, and being busy trying to implement the project, sometimes it helps to have someone with a detached view who can really look at things and advise you. And being Ugandan ourselves, we know that there's a lot of waste that these people can carbonize in these areas, but it is only an attitude problem. And now that we are trying to solve the attitude problem, we are very positive that we will be able to collect more chaff from these farmers. We also we were advised to cluster our micro retailers. We sell our fuel through a network of micro retailers. These are women that we train and empower to become our distributors. So we are currently trying to cluster them into groups. And one of these is to help them learn from each other and share. Some of these are A players, they sell more than others. And it's basically because the A player is doing certain things that the B player or C player or D player is not doing. So to facilitate peer learning between our micro entrepreneurs, we are clustering them and facilitating peer-to-peer learning. depending on where these people are and how much they sell or where, which level their distribution is at. The other thing that we are trying to work on is to streamline our distribution still. Currently, we have a track that goes around. We advise that we could consider having stores like we had stores closer to these micro retailers. So we are trying also to come up with like some sort of warehouses close to these micro retailers, so that these micro retailers can go to the warehouse instead of the truck maybe moving around to deliver the briquette. And also, of course, continuing to review our production, to our technology. The other thing that we worked on together with ENEA was reviewing our kiln design. Our kilns are very inefficient right now. I think they are at a 15% efficiency rate. We were told by Jack that actually the maximum we can get is like 25%, but we still need like 10% more to improve. And we worked with Jack. He made a number of measurements. We have different kiln designs, so he measured all the designs, and he put us in touch with Professor Anderson, who is trying to come up with a new kiln design. This is it will be like exactly like ours, but probably a more efficient kiln. It's portable. Someone can carry it to the field. So currently our kilns are very portable. You can put it on a bike and take it to the garden. And we made it so because it's efficient to collect char and to collect raw biomass. And given the poor infrastructure here, and given the fact that biomass is scattered in different villages, we found it paramount that our model is in a way that people can carry these kilns around and take them to the fields where there is waste. So Professor Anderson is working on a kiln. It is not yet on the market yet, and at first they wanted us to fund to help in funding the research, but we are not sold on that because we didn't want to fund someone else's technology. But we are happy to participate in studies. So we are still hopeful that will come, will help us. If Professor Anderson can prove that the kiln is good, then we can buy it off shelf and use it. And but it was great. We had a very good meeting with other stakeholders and Jack in Makerere University and the representative of Professor Anderson. So if this technology really works, I think it can go a long way in helping us improve our operations. So currently we are focused on implementing the recommendations that ENEA left with us, and we've already started working on some. We are still waiting on others to, like the kiln design, we are still waiting to see if this kiln can be go in the market and see if we can buy it. But we are very grateful to ENEA for the work that they did with us here, and I can report that it really helped us improve our production and streamline our operation. So yes, we can go to the next one.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Sangha. That was fantastic. I appreciate it. I'm just going to allow for one or two questions before we move on. There's a question that came in that might be best suited for Carlo to answer, so I'm going to make sure to unmute Carlo. Assuming that the calorific content of the fuels produced by EFA and the Cambodian producers is lower than wood charcoal and the ash content is higher, how are you able to compete on a quality basis?
Is that mine to answer or Carlo?
I believe that's probably best suited for Carlo, unless you have a response to Sangha, but
Yes.
I'll let Carlo know.
I can say, first of all, we have a quality control on our char residues that we collect, which is mainly on moisture content, ash content from the color, and we supply only from gasifiers, from sources that use wood. So we are sure that it's wood charcoal, because we have quite big problems with our customers. They notice right away if the quality is not good enough, they stop buying it. And what we do in addition, that we do two types of products. One is the 100% coconut shell charcoal, which is the highest quality, and we produce the char from the coconut shells ourselves. But also in the premium product, which is the product produced from char residues, we also mix 5% of the coconut shell charcoal in the basic product to improve the quality of the product. And what we have been doing lately is also to provide coconut shells to gasifiers, at the moment actually only to one, who is using coconut shells as a fuel to produce electricity in his gasifier, and we buy back the coconut char from him. The prices are a little bit different. Coconut shells are a little bit more expensive than wood, but we buy the char also at a slightly higher price, so we can balance that. But yeah, we make quality control, and we don't use any char from rice husk or from lower quality biomass.
Great, thank you, Carlo. Sangha, a question for you from someone. Do you have any easy means for starting fire for cooking other than using kerosene, since there are sometimes lighting difficulties when you're using briquettes?
Well, yes. We actually, our users don't use kerosene for lighting. They use old paper. Most people use old paper, or find like dry grass and light fire, and then put it on. But mainly paper is used to light. So we've not seen anyone use kerosene to light the charcoal here, but mainly paper and dry grass or dry wood chips. There's some chips that are made from there are some wood chips here that are sold on the market that light fire quickly. So some people who have some disposable income buy that. But many people use paper and dry grass, mainly dry grass to light the fire.
Great, thanks, Sangha. One more quick question, and then we'll move on. And this will either be for Carlo or Sangha. Go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted also to answer quickly two questions that I read. One, for the starting of the fire, we came up with some fire starters made of coconut shell dust, and we mixed it with wax. So we have a complementary product that we sell with our charbriquette and works very well. But the Cambodians, they also started, here there's special fruits which have seeds that they use as starters, or sometimes they use plastic, like plastic bags or whatever other plastic thing to start their fire, but not our charbriquette, whatever type of charcoal. And the other thing that I saw about the quality, how do we differ it compared to other competitors? We had one competitor in Cambodia, which actually we had two now. One is actually quite new and came up, and we didn't know the product, and is selling the product quite cheap. We lost one of our biggest customers to the competitor for about three to 4 weeks, and then he came back because of the quality problem. So he prefers buying our charbriquette, which costs 2.5 cents more per kilo, but which makes a difference in price. but yeah, he came back to buy our charbriquette because of the quality. And the last question that I saw was about the percentage of loss of raw material with the biomass, the coconut shells. We have about 20% of the charring outcome, while with the char residues we lose 30%. So 130 kilo of char residues make 100 kilo of briquettes, but it's mostly due to its moisture content. It's not ash or anything. As I explained before, we have some suppliers that collect also the char around the city and bring it to us, and we have refused many supplies that were not good quality, which had sand or ash in it. So now they know that we buy the char only if it's good quality. So that's how we try to keep the quality of our charbriquettes high.
Wonderful. Thank you, Carlo. I see a lot of other really good questions coming into the chat window, so we'll maybe circle back to those at the end of the call if there's time, but also Carlo and Sangha, if you want to go ahead and type in responses while Winnie is presenting, you can go ahead and do that, and we can also follow up. I can copy these questions down, and I can perhaps put up a discussion forum on the website or email out some of the responses. So just in the interest of time, I'm going to go ahead and move things over to Winnie Versal from SIMGAS. So Winnie, you can go ahead and just let me know when you'd like me to forward the slides.
Yeah, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. Yes, my name is Winnie Versal, and I'm working with SIMGAS as a business development officer, and in this role I was also involved in the application for the Spark Fund grant, and also in the due diligence phase and now in the implementation phase. So I will first explain something about SIMGAS and the history. So we are a company based in the Netherlands, and we design market innovative biogas and sanitation systems for households in subtropical regions. Yeah, well, I am based in the Netherlands with the SIMGAS headquarters, which was established 5 years ago with the idea to develop improved and mass-producible biogas systems for households in subtropical countries. We started with this idea 5 years ago because the founder of the company, Sanne Castro, he saw in the field in Tanzania and in Ghana that a lot of biogas systems and designs are not really made to reach hundreds of thousands of people who can actually use this technology. So he came up with an idea to develop a system that can be made of plastic and which you can mass produce in a factory, and which has a really short installation time, can be installed by trained people, but you don't need to have the skills that you need for example, the brick dome biogas systems. So it all makes it possible to really reach many people with this technology. So that was the idea. It started in 2009 with the design. We designed 2 products for rural and for urban use. And we found a partner in Tanzania, with which we signed a joint venture agreement in 2011. So the production of the system started in 2012 in Tanzania, and also the sales. And we also registered the carbon program of activities to use the carbon trade to make our systems more affordable for the users. And in 2013 we also started sales in Kenya. And in the beginning the systems were still produced in Portugal, where we also made our molds. But from 2014 we have a production line in Tanzania. In the third picture from the right, you see the Dutch Minister of Foreign Trade and Development Cooperation signing the first part that came out of the new factory, which is actually the second picture. Well, our plans for 2014 are also to expand to Rwanda and India, but there is also still a lot to reach in Tanzania and Kenya. A little bit about our systems, and I'm also only going to talk about our rural system, which is really having our focus at the moment. It's called the Gasishamba, which means gas for a farm. It's a small-scale biogas digester for rural livestock farmers, and it's scalable from 2 to 20 square meter volume. It's locally mass-produced in Dar es Salaam by an injection molding machine, and it can be made from HDPE regrind, so it's recycled plastic. This design is patented, and at the moment we have about 1,500 customers in both Tanzania and Kenya. And the production line has a capacity of about 10,000 of these systems per year. And that's at the moment sufficient for Kenya and Tanzania. We provide the systems with a stove and all piping, installation, training for the users and service. The stove you can see on the fourth picture. Next slide, please. So, it was last year when we applied for Spark grant, and at that moment we had of course we had a lot of growth plans, but we had also had some issues that stopped us from really realizing those plans. So our need was actually to increase technical and business development capacity at headquarters in the Netherlands in order to reduce the cost of production, to support expansion plans and to attract investment. So this was actually the content of our proposal to Spark. In order to achieve in 2014 a growth of operations in the current countries, Tanzania and Kenya, and also to expand to other countries in the East African region, and also to Southeast Asia, starting with India. The response to our proposal was positive, and then we started the due diligence process in December last year, which really helped us to further identify and specify the needs that are really preventing us from growth as quick as possible. So the conclusion from the due diligence process were that we could use some consultancy support to measure the satisfaction of our customers and also to measure impact. We had some difficulties to assess and to answer actually a question that is asked by many donors: what are you actually achieving and what's your impact? And we are always using standard data roughly to indicate what a biogas digester can have as an impact. But we actually wanted to know this really for sure and in detail. The second thing was that we could improve our gender strategy and also to execute some actions to improve the gender focus. And on top of the consultancy support, we also received financial support to NGO. Sorry, can you just go back to the previous slide? Thank you. So we received financial support for engineering to achieve cost reduction and the design of the above ground components of the system, which is the parts that are above the ground, and that's really visible by the customers. So that could need some improvement, and we also needed molds to make the new components, We also needed transport vehicles to improve efficiency because the parts are being transported from Tanzania to Kenya, and using a truck or renting a truck costs us about $1,000 each time, and having our own vehicle would save a lot of money. And then we also agreed to develop expansion plans to other countries and attract investors to realize these plans. Next, please. Yeah. So, well, this all helped a lot because the income from production and sales is not yet sufficient to cover operating costs and investments needed to scale up. For example, investing in molds. As a starting company, you don't earn that back immediately, and it's difficult to find financing for that. Also with the use of the Spark funds, we could really quickly carry out necessary improvement to the systems, and improving these systems will have a great impact immediately on the production and installation costs. And this is key for a product with minimum margins to keep it affordable to reach scale, because we are talking about targets of a few thousands of systems each year. So every euro you can save on the production per system really helps a lot. Then as I said, the logistics and the transport of the system components has been very inefficient. Which it was sometimes even more expensive than the value of the systems that we transported itself. So having our own truck would really make it cheaper, but also saves us a lot of issues with, for example, drivers that also decided to take a few tons of bananas on top of our plastic parts on the way, which also resulted in a lot of broken parts. So the financial support gives room to scale up quicker. And which was very nice was that the financial support was based on the outcomes of the due diligence process, which means that the external parties, the people that carry out the due diligence, really helped to identify our biggest needs. Next, please. So, on top of the financial support, we received the consultancy support from ENEA and AFRICA on the gender aspect. ENEA developed and tested a tool to measure customer satisfaction and impact. This resulted in a tailor-made, practical, and easy-to-use solution ready to implement, which is an app on the smartphone that you can use to execute surveys among our customers, and we can ask them questions about their satisfaction, but also about how much fuel they used before and the changes due to the biogas use. The support of ENEA was really helpful because we don't have the capacity nor time, and also not the knowledge in how to develop this ourselves. Then David from ENEA also went to Kenya. He developed the tool and the survey, and he tested it in the field with a group of about 40 customers in Kenya, and it immediately showed some interesting results that we can address straight away. One example was that most of the first users are not completely switching from their wood or charcoal use to biogas, but they still use their traditional fuels. But they use the biogas mainly in the morning because it really saves them time in the morning when actually they can sleep longer, which they really valued a lot. But it also opened up our eyes because it's in this case not really creating the impact that we actually expected. Then the gender analysis and the coaching, that is still ongoing. The gender expert has identified different levels and gender-related aspects that we could improve in our activities, which was nice. The staff in Kenya realizes now the importance of gender and the role of women within and outside of the company. Of course, we already knew that women are the main users of biogas, but this increased gender awareness really helps to target the customers in the right way. And it's a really practical way of support which adds immediate value to ongoing activities. So, yeah, we're very happy with it. I think this was my last slide.
Great, thanks very much, Winnie. I'm going to hand this over back to ENEA. I believe David is going to present next.
Yes, thank you, Winnie, and thank you, Sima, for that. I will now talk about ENEA's support activity to syngas. So as Winnie said, this mainly consisted in the development and implementation of a mobile-based monitoring system. So my feedback will focus on 3 key learnings. The first one that you can see on this slide is what is exactly this kind of monitoring systems. The second point will be on what it does include actually in terms of indicators. And the third point will be on an example of the results that you can expect from such monitoring systems, with an illustration on the fuel switch aspects that Winnie just mentioned. So on the first point, which is what is a monitoring system and what exactly did we implement and develop for syngas, I will not enter into the details of that, but briefly, it is an application that you can make available on the mobile phones of your sales team to collect information in the field. So the first question that you have to address is what exactly the information that I should collect, what is exactly the information I should collect. So for us and our main feedback, the most difficult point is here, because monitoring systems can be used for a lot of things, including providing feedback from customers to operations and management team, monitoring the performance of POAs, reporting impacts to investors. So these are really different indicators, and this means that you need to clarify the objectives early enough, not to mix up all the information that you collect. After this is defined, the part related to the development of mobile-based applications is quite easy and straightforward, since very simple systems do exist. So in our case, we chose to develop a suite of applications based on Open Data Kit, which is an open source tool, and you can see a screenshot of that on the right. It was actually very simple to both develop, deploy, and use. So as we mentioned before, we went to Kenya and helped the local team to install it on their phone and to make a first pilot test of that. There was a great enthusiasm from them, and actually this is quite good because you just avoid paperwork and these kind of things that makes it quite difficult to track the data afterwards. So my second point, next slide, please, on the content of the monitoring system. So in the case of syngas, we knew, and that's what we pointed during the due diligence phase, we knew that biogas adoption over the long term is often difficult due to technical problems with the operations of biodigesters. So we recommended to implement a monitoring system that was intended to monitor customer satisfaction concerning the use of these biodigesters. And in addition to that, we included some other objectives related to the marketing and sales, to reporting to investors, and to the improvement of product design. But the first objective was really on securing the long-term adoption of biogas systems. So you can see the 4 sets of indicators that we finally developed for the monitoring system on the right. There were mainly 4 sets of them concerning customer satisfaction, as I said, the use of the biodigesters by the customers, fuel switch indicators, and one indicator on the profile of customers, because it is one of the mission of syngas to help alleviate poverty, so we decided to include an indicator on that aspect. Next slide, please. So finally, I just present one example of results that we got from the pilot survey that we conducted to test the monitoring system. This illustration is on a fuel switch. So as you can see, we just tried to know how the customers of syngas were using the biogas, and to what extent it allowed them switching from their previous fuel to biogas. The first 2 pie charts that you can see show that most customers had, by the time of the survey, effectively switched from their previous fuel to biogas. And this previous fuel was mainly firewood, since we were in a rural area. However, and this is the third pie chart that you can see below, most of them, at least a huge majority of them, were still using their previous fuel by the time of the survey. So this provided us with a feedback that we think is quite interesting in the framework of the development of sustainable fuels projects, because it shows that switching to a new fuel can be actually effective, even though most of the customers still use their previous fuel. There are many reasons for that. The first one being that the biogas has a range of advantages, which are that it cooks fast. Its adoption is quite good for cooking quick meals like breakfast, but for large meals or heavy meals applications, then you need to use long-lasting fuels, which are mainly firewood and charcoal. So this is an illustration of the type of results that you can expect from these monitoring systems. We think that it's very easy to precisely monitor your basis of customers and the main advantages that they get from switching to the fuel that you can propose. After that, it should be followed by decisions, which in our case was to focus on quick wins like this adoption for quick cooking applications like breakfast. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, David. I appreciate it. I think we have time for maybe one or two questions. If anybody has any questions for Winnie or for David from ENEA, you can go ahead and type them into the chat window. It looks like we've got a lot of good discussion going on, in particularly about kiln design and charcoal briquettes. I can try and connect some people after the call via email. So if you are interested in me serving as a facilitator and connecting anyone, please feel free to email me at spatel@cleancookstoves.org. So I'll just give folks about 10-15 seconds if you have any quick questions for Winnie or about SIMGAS and the monitoring tool for customer satisfaction. Okay, it looks like we have a question for Winnie. Let me just unmute you, Winnie. Winnie, so do you have any systems that link biogas systems and ethanol projects?
Sorry, can you repeat it? Does link biogas systems as?
Yeah, so the question is if SIMGAS has any systems that link biogas systems and ethanol projects?
Okay. No, at the moment we don't have any links with ethanol projects. As far as I know it, I'm not sure of I'm not up to date of every link in East Africa with my colleagues there, but as far as I know, no. Not. Oh yeah, I now see the question. Okay, the answer is no.
Okay. Oh, it sounds like he's particularly talking about usage of stillage for ethanol.
We don't have experience with that, but yeah, I could ask my more technical colleagues if you send me an email. That's possible.
Okay. Yes, I can be sure to connect with you both after the call.
Yeah. No problem.
Wonderful. All right. Well, I have one more slide to present, and then I'll go ahead and wrap things up. But I will go ahead and leave the public chat window open for about 10 minutes after the call. So if you want to continue discussions now or connect via email, whatever is most convenient, I can help facilitate that process. I just wanted to quickly mention that we recently released our Pilot Innovation Fund Round 3. You can find more details up on our website. And I just wanted to let everybody know that there is going to be, the plan is to provide about 5 awards of up to $500,000, which is an increase from the last round of our Pilot Innovation Fund. And we're also shifting the theme and focus of this round as well to really looking for game-changing technologies in fuels or business models. Before it was a little bit more focused on slight tweaks along the supply chain, but at this time we're really looking for something that maybe hasn't been tried in the sector before or is very unique to the sector and can help lead to rapid scale up. So there's a link at the bottom of this slide that will take you directly to the announcement on our website, and that can link to the full RFP as well. And if anybody has any questions, there's also an email address on the website so you can answer, or you can ask particular questions and we can get back to you with specific answers. So with that, if unless any of the presenters have any final comments, I think we can wrap things up, and hopefully by the end of the week we'll have the webinar posted on our website for those who might have missed a portion or all of it. So please feel free to share the information with your colleagues. Thank you, everyone. Thank you especially to the presenters, Winnie, Sangha, everyone from ENEA, Carlo. I really appreciate it, and thank you, everyone. And please let me know if you have any questions. Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.